Hello, my name is Ashanti. I make content that challenges everything you know to be truth. My only goal is to invoke critical thinking and to ask the questions others may be too afraid to ask. Today I ask you, is Mother Teresa who you think she is? In 1994, there was a documentary released in the UK by the name of Hell's Angels that detailed the account of volunteers of Mother Teresa's Homes for the Dying.
Mother Teresa's flagship institution is her home for the dying, a hospice which purportedly sweetens the last moments of otherwise destitute lives.
My initial impression was of all the photographs and footage I've ever seen of Belsen and places like that, because all the patients had shaved heads. There are no chairs anywhere. There are just these stretcher beds, and they're like First World War stretcher beds. There's no garden, no yard even, no nothing. And I thought, what is this? This is 2 rooms with 50 to 60 men in one, 50 to 60 women in another. They're dying. They're not being given a great deal of medical care. They're not being given painkillers really beyond aspirin and maybe, if you're lucky, some Brufen or something for the sort of pain that goes with terminal cancer and the things that they were dying of. And I thought, what's the point?
Right from the very beginning, I wanted to serve the poor purely for the love of God and to give them what the rich people get with money. I wanted to give to the poor for the love of God.
They didn't have enough drips. The needles they used and reused over and over and over, and you would see some of the nuns rinsing needles under the cold water tap. And I asked one of them why she was doing it. And she said, well, to clean it. And I said, yes, but why are you not sterilizing it? Why are you not boiling water and sterilizing your needles? She says, there's no point. There's no time.
It's been reported by the New York Times that her missionary of charity was and still is one of the richest organizations in the world, and yet at that facility, under her watch, used syringes were rinsed with cold water, tuberculosis patients were not put in quarantine, and pain medicine was not prescribed. Mother Teresa believed that suffering made you closer to God, and during the years she ran the clinic in India on a budget of more than 29 million, major floods occurred, one of which left 200 dead and more than 300,000 homeless. What did Mother Teresa do with her money? She offered prayers. The article goes on to say that more than 2.5 million was transferred to the Vatican in 1993 alone. The money she had at her disposal could have built a modern hospital of India. In the next video, we'll go into depth about the shady characters Mother Teresa chose to align herself with, as well as the journal entries that were exposed of her questioning her belief in God. Hello, my name is Ashanti, and this is part 2 of Is Mother Teresa Who You Think She Is? If you haven't already, please follow this comment, check out part 1, and then join us back over here. In the previous video, we left off on the shady people that Mother Teresa chose to align herself with, one of which being Charles Keating, who was a lawyer and a financier convicted of fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy. While on trial for his charges, Mother Teresa wrote a letter on his behalf to the Superior Court saying, I do not know anything about Charles Keating's work or his business or the matters you are dealing with. I only know that he has always been kind and generous to God's poor and always ready to help whenever there was a need. An attorney wrote back explaining how Keating had destroyed the savings of tens of thousands of customers and how Mother Teresa should return his donations to his victims. Mother Teresa never responded. She also chose to align herself with Baby Doc Duvalier, who was a Haitian leader known for unaliving and torturing his own people. Mother Teresa accepted the Haitian Legion of Honor Award from him. The New York Times reported that Mother Teresa made the questionable decision to lay flowers on the tombstone of communist leader and human rights abuser Enver Hoxha. It's no secret that Mother Teresa had a dogmatic stance against abortion and also contraceptions.
That is why abortion has a great evil. In killing the child, in aborting the child, we remember that we are doing it to Jesus. Jesus said, whatever you do to the least, you did it to me. So the mother herself destroys the presence of Jesus in her heart, thereby destroying the child. So let us pray, and this gift of God that in this house, with God's blessing.
Welcome.
Very interesting take from a woman whose journal entry exposed her for questioning her belief in God and Jesus, saying, if there to be no God, there to be no soul. If there to be no soul, then Jesus, you also are not true. Very interesting to say the least. So now I ask you, is Mother Teresa who you thought she was? Welcome back. This is part 3 of Is Mother Teresa Who You Think She Is? Parts 1 and 2 are already up, so if you haven't already checked those 2 videos out, I do advise that you go watch those and then come back to part 3. The comment section of my previous video has multiple comments saying that Dr. Fauci is actually the biological son of Mother Teresa. Yes, this Dr. Fauci.
Schellenberger tweeted, Fauci said scientists had independently concluded a COVID lab leak was unlikely. Now, a new email makes clear that he was the one who orchestrated the quote-unquote disinformation campaign against it.
They took animal viruses that only occur in animals, and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function? It is not.
Now, although that rumor has not been proven, I cannot deny the uncanny resemblance between the two. Now, what has been recently proven is her connection to a decade-old rumor of her being connected to human trafficking. Above is a photo of Mother Teresa and Robert Maxwell, the father of Ghislaine Maxwell. That Ghislaine Maxwell, who went down with convicted trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. In 2018, Mother Teresa's Missionaries of Charity was under investigation by the Indian government over the allegations of selling babies. Time magazine reported that Indian authorities said they busted a baby trafficking racket in a shelter ran by the Missionaries of Charity, the religious order set up by the late Albanian Indian missionary in 1950. Child welfare authorities said a nun and one other person linked to the charity were selling babies to childless couples for between $550 and $1,450. The article goes on to say it's the latest in a litany of scandals that have largely simmered beneath the surface for decades, but now threaten to explode in full view. That scandal alone almost cost her sainthood. There are many people who do not believe that she deserves to be considered a saint due to all of the years of allegations and scandals that have been linked to her name. But I don't know. What do you think? Is Mother Teresa who you thought she was?